Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is General Ravi Shankar as we look at what is happening in Bangladesh. Is Bangladesh getting ready for war? It definitely looks so. It has asked for arms and ammunition from Pakistan. How is it going to pay for it? Who is funding all this stuff? All these and many other questions that will be answered by General Ravi Shankar. Before that, please like this video. It's a very important video, and General Ravi Shankar will set out many of the questions that we are having in our minds. General Ravi Shankar, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar, and thanks a lot for inviting me over to the show. This is a weekly program. Let's roll because we'll lose time otherwise.
General Ravi Shankar, a country that is bankrupt, its borders are completely sealed with India. It depends on India for just about everything. Putting up a very brazen front and trying to talk about equality on par with India. I mean, that's okay. You can think like that. But what gives it its mojo to do all these things and claim? I mean, you have to have some modesty, don't you think?
Uh, well, that's fine. But look, part of the Bangladeshi psyche is that it wants to be sovereign, seen as a sovereign, independent nation, equal to India, and it's got an image of itself. So it's in that process that they've gone in for this, and I actually I won't read too much into it. But most of you won't believe me when I say I don't read too much into it. Let me explain. First and foremost, Bangladesh has always had this view that the only country with which it can fight is India, right? And for that, it has to have its links with China and Pakistan. It's a different thing. Does it ever have to think that way? It won't. It doesn't. That's not their style. Like you said, that's their mojo. So to that extent, it's their strike. And once I remember, talking to a Bangladeshi officer, I said, "Why do you want to go all over the countryside to buy arms and ammunition? You should just come to us and take whatever you want." So he said, "Sir, I mean, let's be very frank. It was a very frank moment. He said, I mean, whom can we fight with or use this ammunition against? It's only you. It's only that. We also know it's only cosmetic in nature, but it gives us our, feet to stand on. So you look at it that point of view, and that's what they're doing. Now, come to think of it, look, they're bankrupt and they're gone for this. I'll put it the other way around. They might be bankrupt. They're in the midst of a problem. They know they've riled India. Somewhere deep down, I mean, I wouldn't say somewhere deep down, up front, you have a you have a government in place. It's not a government. Also, you have an arrangement in place, which is not very friendly with India. Very obvious about that. The mood of the nation is probably not that good, not towards India. And if you see the tea leaves, if you smell the tea leaves, the government which will come in will not be with India or completely aligned with India. So to that extent, they'll feel, look, if things go bad, India can do something against us. So we need to defend ourselves. So it is in that context that I think they've gone in for this. I won't read much more into this at this point of time or at any point of time. You just have to understand the psyche which is going on, because this gives you a peep into how you have to deal with Bangladesh in the long run. That's the first point. There are 2, 3 other points, and the other point is, what does this mean? I mean, in terms of they bought some 40,000 artillery shells or gone into a contract in 2,000 rounds of tank ammunition. So what does it translate into military capability? We could discuss that. And then there's another interesting point which I would actually look into. That interests me more. it shows certain capability in Pakistan, right? And that's something which I'd like to discuss. So this is my opening gambit, your question, and then I'll take it forward.
General Ravi Shankar, the ISI chief has gone AWOL. Today, nobody can trace where he is. What is also being heard is over 200 people considered to be loyal to the man who has been accused of, malfeasance and perhaps facing court-martial, General Faiz Hamid. They have been rumored to be put to death. 200. And evidently, this guy is also going to be hanged sooner or later. What happens to Faiz Hamid today will probably happen to his boss or his good friend Imran Khan. Whatever it is, with so much in turmoil, Nadeem Anjum is missing. People say that
Yeah,
he
I
may
know.
be in
Okay, that's
London.
okay. Yeah.
So what
Wherever.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, sir, with such a dysfunctional ISI army conflict, how did they pull off this coup in Bangladesh? Because they are the foot soldiers. They were the ones who made it happen. Whether it was funded by US or China is a matter for a different day. But the actual work was done by these people. That's no doubt about that part, right? So what exactly is happening inside Pakistan? Your view, sir, because if you want to fix Bangladesh, you have to first fix Pakistan, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Pakistan is made that way. It has got always had two shades. It doesn't matter whether it's internally, in a bad shape or not. It will always have an external footprint, which is different from what it is happening internally. And secondly, you're talking of a system which is born as anti-India. So whether it is collapsing or not, or whatever it is, anything against India, it will do. They are two separate compartments. One should be very clear when we talk of Pakistan or discuss Pakistan. Certain no one knows about Pakistan is, that I would say the certain constants of what Pakistan is. The Pakistan army is never weak. The state might be weak. The Pakistan army is never weak or weakened. Whatever the Pakistan army wants, it takes from the state, and it's only after that, the budget, all that, and the money goes wherever it is. So the Pakistan army is never weak militarily. Okay. From that and the business empire it controls, it has the political strength, and so that is what shall I say, not negotiable. The next thing is anything against India will always be done, irrespective of other things. So whatever Pakistan does in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, it will do something in Sri Lanka also. Don't forget it, or Maldives is given. It's nothing to be discussed about. What's happening in Pakistan? Pakistan is where it is. It will continue with what's happening in Balochistan. It will continue to suffer with what's happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Kashmir has gone cold at this point of time, but it's a matter of time. It will come back again. So Pakistan will remain in this jelly state. It will always keep running around with a beggar's bowl, and it will always go to China. It will always go to US. There's nothing new about this, and he's not going to fight. The fact is that he's selling ammunition to Bangladesh, he's selling ammunition to Ukraine, everything. So he's not going to fight. He can't. He doesn't have that kind of ammunition that he'll fight with you. So that's what Pakistan is. Pakistan is a jelly state. It will remain so, and you have to just continue to deal with it. Whether it's one Pakistan or a disintegrated set of 4 Pakistans, it doesn't matter. So that's as much as Pakistan is concerned. I hope I've answered that. Then we can talk of Bangladesh.
Well, like I said, Bangladesh is blustering all these things that's happening now. There is no basis for all this stuff. If it was not for Modi helping along Sheikh Hasina for the last 10 years, Bangladesh's per capita income has grown by leaps and bounds. Granted that their population is even growing faster, that is a problem that was identified by India and had been flagged to Bangladesh that you need to take care of your population rise. And that is the direct consequence of all these riots that started out with students may have been even genuine, but it has since been hijacked by the Jamaat. Now, what I'm seeing is this injustice against Hindus is continuing unabated. Sir, I understand that India cannot just like that move into Bangladesh to try and show its strength. It takes time. I understand that. But other than making a few statements here and there, how can India stop this Hindu genocide again?
Look, this you can do economically, you can do diplomatically, you can do politically. Militarily, I think that option actually doesn't exist, right? And the number of Hindus in Bangladesh are still sizable. And the next point is, while we all talk of wanting to rescue the Hindus out from there, do they want to be rescued? I don't hear that talk. So they don't seem to be saying that they want to come out, right? There's no call for that. So if that call is not there, all you can do is be a political outreach, a diplomatic outreach, and probably a economic outreach. So I don't know whether India can do anything more than that. But look, even that is quite a bit, right? There is a lot you can do in that field also. So militarily, let's be very clear, the equation is out. Militarily, India can't go enter Bangladesh and start rescuing Hindus. It's not feasible. It's a non-starter. That means you're looking at war. We should be very clear about that. And we've already burnt our fingers badly in Sri Lanka. We went for the Tamils, ultimately ended up fighting against Tamils. And the Tamils were also Hindus. So, while we are emotional about what we want to do with Hindus, to help Hindus, there's a deeper political angle to this also.
General, what I'm asking is, what is it that India can do? This genocide of Hindus, or at least violence against Hindus, has nothing to do with the regime change, and yet it continues. Something has to be done to at least stop it on its tracks now. By the way, I disagree with you on that. Sir, one second. I disagree with you on the fact that the Hindus of Bangladesh have not raised a flag. They have. In fact, that is the reason why you saw so much protest in many Western countries. Basically, India is still being very, 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 what I would say, blasé about this thing. I've already flagged that out. Why aren't Hindus in India protesting for the Hindus of Bangladesh? I don't see that happening. But the Hindus outside have come out in numbers in support. And the reason is that they have been flagged. They know what is going on. It has been flagged. In fact, there is a consensus emerging in the United States to censor what is going on. The current government, the hand-picked puppet government of Bangladesh, that is happening. It will take some time, but it is happening. But my question, sir, is that doesn't change anything on the ground. Censor is just like I say something, you listen to it this year and it goes out the other year. What is it that India can do politically and diplomatically? Let's say military is out of the question. In your opinion,
let me flip the question. What do you expect India to do?
Sir, this India is the country that freed Bangladesh.
That's
clearly
okay.
There are some aspects there that.
What do you think? That's why I said I'll flip the question to you. What do you think India should do, or what do you expect India to do to help Hindus in Bangladesh?
General Ravi Shankar, I'm not the person who has lived on the ground. You've seen everywhere around. You are a better person to answer this question. Flipping the question I don't know the answer, sir. That's why I'm asking
you. I see that point. See, now it's a very difficult question. The first thing is, you have a lot you can do economically, right? The economic leverages are quite a bit. For example, they need cotton, they need fibers, everything. That linkage is there. After all, their economy is based on exports and all that. You have a leverage there. Water is another leverage. Electricity, another leverage. Normal goods is another leverage. So there are leverages. And those leverages can be used. I mean, you don't have to be overt about it. Because when we use these leverages overtly with Nepal, we lost out in the long run, right? So we need to be careful, but we have leverages. I'm sure the government is already using it. It's not as if they're not using it. But the more important point is, while I do agree there's a genocide on, okay, let's take it that the genocide is on. Are the Bangladesh Hindus asking to be moved out? Or has there a big call come out and say, look, we are under genocide? I find as much as you see, today I saw a few videos where some Bangladeshi Hindus have come out in support of BNP, right? Much to my surprise. And they're from some reputed channels. So are we getting the full story out of this whole thing? Are we sure of that? And in any case, what is the solution you have to get those 12 million people out? Are they prepared to upstick from where they are staying and come into an enclave which you want to form? Is it acceptable to them? Is it acceptable to the nation? So this is the favorite solution I see. Oh, get them all to Rangpur. I mean, you can't uproot people's lives and get them all to Rangpur. So there are major issues in this, construct. Will you like to relocate because they would be having their property, they would be having their friends, everything? Will they be welcome here? You have to understand them that they are very, very apprehensive of their own state, whether they are in Bangladesh or in India, right? And then, is there a government policy for us to handle this whole story? And where will they go? Where will they go? They'll go to Assam, where they're going to have more problems. Or will they come to Bangladesh, Bengal? They'll have even more longer problems. Will the government of India accept them? Right? So these are the issues which I think we have to consider before we go this thing. Yes, we need to help them. I have no doubt about it. After all, the Prime Minister of the country has said and spoken to the Chief Executive Officer of Bangladesh to say that they have to be taken care of, and he said so, whatever he has said to us. So it's in that this thing, there are certain limits which you can do because it is a sovereign state, and those subjects are sovereign subjects of that sovereign state. Yeah.
General Ravi Shankar, thousands lined up at India's border wanting to get in, and India could have easily checked if the people
that won't happen.
No, listen, you're shaking your head even before I pose the question.
Yeah.
No. Let me understand. Let me tell you what I was in India, sir. I'm watching this. Thousands lined up. Nobody was allowed in. But I also heard that BSF created enclaves within Bangladesh to try and keep them secure, at least for now, so that these people don't, get hit upon, because it's a concentrated mass. We don't know if they are all Hindus. We don't know. At least India can make this fact known to the world that look, people are massing, and we are helping them in a way we can. Right now, the borders are sealed. It's something that communication needs to come out, General Ravi Shankar, because see, I can understand why India doesn't want to say anything. The reason is, if India says anything, people will start massing towards the borders, and that's not what you want. You want them to stay where they are and protect themselves. I get that, but Hindus by nature are peace-loving. They don't know beyond using a RE to go and work in the fields. They don't know what else to use that with, right? So you're asking a mindset of people to change overnight. It won't happen. So I see these things about Jamaat support by Hindus. Yeah, some students also came in support of overthrowing Sheikh Hasina. Democracy will have all kinds of people, and then they just play it up. My overall, sir, because I need to frame the question. Overall, Hindus are spread equally across Bangladesh. There are only some pockets where there are in some majority, not even majority, significant minority. That's it, right? So today, India needs to have something that will stop this madness, sir. Come on now, India has, it can play one economic card.
And let it play. That time I've already told you a few economic cards. It's up to India to play that. It's up to the government to do that. How do you know? How do you presume that it's not being done?
Well, heavy
Uh,
rains
let, let
caused
me, no, no,
floods,
no,
and
no.
they
Let
said
me.
that India opened the gates. See,
No, 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 no. Wait. Let me put it this way. How do you know that India is not playing its cards the way it wants to? How do you know it's not being done?
I don't know, but I would like to
Then,
know.
then
See, the thing,
let,
sir,
let,
sir, sir. No, no, let me just tell you this. This is what I think needs to happen. Words is not important. Action is important. If the madness stops, then I know that whatever it is that India has done has been effective. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
And why?
B- because whatever you do, this is something which is which you really can't force on the other country. You can't force your way and your uh, yeah, what should I say? You have 12 million. Look at the numbers. 12 million people. All 12 million people have to raise and come and say, okay, we want help. Then there is a way to get out of it. But you're not having that. Right? You can't create, like you rightly said, you can't create enclaves around Bangladesh because you don't know. And if you make such enclaves, understand that the other out of 197, 12 million are Hindu. The other 185 million also would like to come because they don't also have a future there. It's a huge human problem which you will create if you, right? Okay. Yeah, this is there. This is today's newspaper. I'm sure these things are being applied already, whatever it is. I am also sure and one must understand that they're not being made public. And why are they not being made public is something which we need to understand. We need to have the maturity to understand. We did this very publicly and very vociferously when we did it against Nepal few years back. And
Blockade.
we did it. Yeah, we did a blockade. We did a lot of things, and that backfired badly. In the in the longer view, it backfired badly. So we don't want to repeat that mistake here, right? So I think the government is playing it the way it wants. Uh, Many things it's not telling us. It won't tell us also. So yeah, if there is anything specific we can say, tell the government you do this, do that, then it's a different story. But what are the options available to us?
I heard that much of the electricity that has been drawn by Bangladesh has not been paid yet. The
Yeah,
dues
it's not
haven't
been
been
paid.
paid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you that their dues are not being paid. Water is a problem for them. Their cotton is a problem for them. Their foodstuff will be a problem for them very soon, right? They're going to have a problem. There's no doubt about it, and they don't have another choice but to come to India. No one else is going to help them out. Even that, I'm sure. Neither USA nor Pakistan nor China. They are the guys who created this problem. They're not going to come. And you're looking at a regime which is still foolish enough to go to these very people. You open up the Dhaka Tribune or the Daily Star, right? You see their opinion pieces. Their opinion is completely against India. Okay. And their opinion, okay. Yeah. Their opinion is completely against India. And their opinion, in fact, is for China. Okay. You have a system which is developing there, which is completely opinionated against you. And in this, what do? You have to play your cards smoothly. If you do publicly, he'll publicly say, no, I'll not do it. Then what? And then the repercussions on the Hindus will be even worse. Then what do? I mean, you want to do publicly and say, okay, tomorrow we discuss how good our stance is, that we close the trains, we close the water, or you flooded them with water and you didn't give them electricity and you didn't give them cotton, don't give them foodstuffs. Virtually a barricade. That's what we will head into. If that barricade is made public, then the situation will actually go worse. Is it good enough for the 12 million Hindus there? Or are there better methods of doing it? Or is the government of India already doing it and probably not making it public? Because you're looking at a very sensitive situation here.
General
When
Ravi Shankar, what I'm saying is an emotional request from
yeah,
many
yeah,
people
yeah,
who want to know what is going on. Sir, let me
they
finish. See, here, there's this new CEO. The responsible thing for him to do is that you cannot force some people in industry, education to resign just because they don't happen to be a particular religion. That needs to be coming clearly from the CEO. This Turkey hasn't opened his mouth. These are all things that they can do.
will not do. They're not doing what you do. I mean, that's the problem. You got to understand. It's not that he's sacked people from one religion. He sacked people from one party as a whole. The universities, the banks, the bank governors, the whole lot. We know that government functionaries. He's done it wholesale. He's not focused only against Hindus. He's focused broadband. Anyone against them politically is just taken out. In the process, if Hindus have been knocked off. That is something which. What do you do after that?
Sir, then we should not
Eh,
qualify them. Sir, 1 second. We should not call them as a sovereign republic anymore. When somebody comes
How do
in
you?
and across the board fires the entire judiciary, across the board fires the banking officials, that person is not going by democratic principles. First of all, he's a selected, appointed person, right?
So
And then
what do
he
you do?
goes and started releasing, people who are, violent elements in the society. They've all been
No,
released.
we have not said it's a democratic government at this point of time. There's no democracy today. It's anarchy. I mean, let's be very clear. Are we at any stage suggesting? Are you suggesting that the government of India has said that system is democratic? It's not. There are no elections held. Actually, there's no reason for that government to be toppled over. I mean, Sheikh Hasina's government. So there's nothing there. So it's not a. It's actually an anarchy. You are dealing with an anarchical situation. I mean, there must be a lot of Bangladeshis who will come on this channel, and they'll you see the venom which will come out of them, right? So the fact is that you're dealing with an anarchical situation. You don't know when elections are likely to be held. If you see videos from their channels also, you will realize that some of them don't want elections to be held at all. Maybe for not for the next 3 to 4 years. So they are also as much as you are emotional. There are a lot of emotional flowing freely within Bangladesh. There are many opinions. There's no there's no consolidation of views. There's no one view which is coming out of Bangladesh. You have old man, 84-year-old man, who's put in charge. Is he effective? I don't think he's effective. I agree with you. He's not effective, right? Is the army stepped up and done what it is supposed to do? That's also not happened. If it was an army rule firm, everything, one could talk Turkey with them. That's also not happening. You don't know which side who's going, right? But one side I know where the whole country is going is towards China. That I'm very clear. Because the opinion makers who are writing columns and pieces and editorials in China, in Bangladesh, are veering towards China. You are in a tough situation. Let's be very clear. Okay. In this kind of a tough situation, if you do anything overtly, you have a problem. You have to do certain things in a calibrated manner. Yeah, the question which I will defer to you is, are we doing it in a calibrated manner? That's a question which we have to ask our government. If the government chooses to tell us, fine. If the government doesn't choose to tell us, we have to find different methods of finding out whether they're doing or not. At this point of time, I don't think the government has come to the stage where it is prepared to use the stick, because there's still chaos going on. After all, look, it's only 1 month since the whole story's happened. It'll take time.
Okay, so there are signs that it's spilling over into the border state, West Bengal for sure. And do you think India will first fix its own internal issues before they'll start looking outwards? Any possibility of that?
Sure, it will. I'm sure about that. I think that process is on already. But we also have to understand what's that process involved. The government of India at this point of time, um, has limited options even on that, because That party in power there is completely diametrically opposite you, the government politically, right? Do you have we have political convergence on this issue? No. Is the government of India or the government trying to generate political convergence? In fact, if there's anything else, because of um, the unfortunate death of the lady doctor, the it is political divergence. If it's not convergence, okay. So if there's no political convergence, how do you expect them to behave the way you want them in with Bangladesh? Many of our problems are internal to us, and I've been saying this constantly. To me, it doesn't matter whether there's a BJP government or a TMC government or a Congress government or any government in India, wherever it is. I have no political inclination to anyone. But my view is that there has to be political consensus on national issues. That is missing. And that saddens me as much as it saddens you or anyone else.
It's missing in India. It's also missing in the United States. So we
No,
have this kind of a political system. The democracy has really taken a beating in this. The true meaning of democracy has been lost. I give you that. General Ravi Shankar, what a lot of people are watching, especially from Pakistan and Bangladesh and across the world, they listen to you, they respect you. I can see yours is the voice of reason, mine is the voice of passion. That's okay. That's what gives a good.
No, that's okay. That's it's a balance.
My 2 cents is that political and diplomatic options, I just don't see it in view. Maybe there is a reason for that, and it's very regrettable that the very people who will support BJP for the most part, they have chosen to, they said that they have chosen to punish BJP in the 2024 elections. And that makes it even harder for BJP to do even some small decisive actions. Always going forward, getting back, going forward, pushing back. This sort of thing is happening. So politically, I don't see much strength for this government. And economically also, I don't see much strength for this government. I don't see, because what will happen, sir, I'll tell you, sir, if you, let's say you turn off power because you didn't pay dues, right? Immediately this will become a human rights issue.
Yeah, I agree with
the same guys will start crowing, oh, this is that. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be something more decisive. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey, what do you think could be decisive? Let me ask you this question.
Sir, you are the guest, sir. Mine is my job is to ask questions.
Look, look. That's why I said, the way I look at it, we have enough levers to do what we have to do. But these levers won't be twisted or levered. Those leverages won't be executed in a hurry. Because we don't want, there are 2-3 issues in this. You can't, turn a lever on and then turn it off. Then you look like a fool. Or backtrack. Again, you see, look at that Nepal thing. Where did the whole story of Nepal end? Where is it lying today? The discord with Nepal. It is lying with Nepal Parliament, approving a change in the borders and claiming that Kalapani area across Kali River, right? Limpudyara. And they've changed the map of Nepal. And that problem is a problem in perpetuity till you have a government which is completely aligned, a government in Nepal and a government in India completely aligned with each other. Do you think that will happen? It will never happen. Because in the past 14 years in Nepal, they have had 16 governments or so, whatever, or the other way around. In 15 years, they've had 13 governments. No government has lasted more than 1 year. If that has not happened, that issue won't get resolved. And who's instigated this? This was instigated by China. There's no doubt about it. If something like that happens here, what do? Forget about human rights. Forget about human rights. You turn off the electricity. He does something else at the behest of China. Whether they get electricity or not, it doesn't matter at that point because it's already gone. Then what do? then you are stuck with the problem in perpetuity. Okay. Or then he goes to UN and say, look, why is this man interfering in my internal affairs? Then the leverages that you have are also gone. So whatever leverages you have are strong, but you can't use them all together. You can't just go around brandishing a stick. You did the same thing in Sri Lanka, and it's taken so long for us to retrieve the situation. I mean, for many of you who were not alive, I wouldn't say alive, who were not aware of the conditions when we went into Sri Lanka, at that point of time as IPKF. And if you know the lead up to the Tamil problem there and everything, we went to rescue the Tamils and we started fighting against them. That's where the whole story. So there's a lot of sensitivities involved before we do anything. It's taken us nearly 30, 40 years to pull back the situation in Sri Lanka. So we can't afford to go back to that kind of a situation. You can't let the whole thing go down emotionally. You have to be very cool about the whole affair. When such an upheaval has happened in a country, there will be issues. There will be issues, right? So, or you can always say, okay, if you're prepared, uh, any Hindu wants to come, you can come. But will states accept them? There's an internal problem. Which state will accept them coming from there to here? Who will accept them? Does the government of India have a plan for 12 million people? So we don't have a political plan. Unless you have a political plan, all this can't be done. In any case, under the conditions, it's best that they are there and we manage them there, right? And as good Hindus. So I think to expect that the government of India should do everything in the visible spectrum, in the public spectrum, is asking for too much in this kind of a situation. Yeah, are they building up consensus as how to handle the Bangladesh situation? I'm sure. Look at it. The Prime Minister has spoken to President Biden. They have spoken. The issue would get addressed at some level. It's come out. It's a different thing that our equation with USA is not so great at this point of time. That the readouts from USA and India are different. Okay, I understand that, but that's where we are, and we have to deal with this situation. So I think there are no easy answers. There are no cut and dried answers for the situation in Bangladesh, because you don't know who's the power in Bangladesh. The power equations are still forming. You do the wrong step, you will see Chinese footprint just going up 10 times over, and you don't want to get into a situation where you are worse off than where you are now. That's the point. So I mean, I've made a big long speech. For many, it will sound illogical. For for emotionally charged people, it might not be enough. It might be, someone might say, "Oh, what is this old fool trying to talk?" Even that I understand that, right? But the charged up will say, "Oh, we'll go and get." That's not how states function. That's not how countries function. That's not how diplomacy functions, and that's not how politics function.
Well, that's where we stand right now. Things will play themselves out. We'll go back and revisit this issue maybe in a couple of weeks' time or 4 weeks' time with General Ravi Shankar. He's a regular on this time of the day on every Friday and every or alternate Fridays. I don't remember exactly where we settled to. If he's traveling, of course, he will not be able to make it. He's a much sought after man. He has been very busy traveling here and there. So we will be regular in this one. So we'll revisit this topic then. General Ravi Shankar, you want to say something before we go to questions?
Before we go, I would like to, there'll be a lot of questions asked about before we conclude, about the Bangladeshi ammunition ready for war. They're not getting ready for war, let's be very clear. Like I told you, it's more of a defensive move for the self-esteem and things like that. And to put it in numbers and perspective, they've said 40,000 rounds of ammunition. And they have about 300 to 400 guns. Actually, it translates into about 100 rounds of ammunition per gun. And 100 rounds of ammunition per gun on an average is 2 days of ammunition, period. 40,000 rounds is 2 days, minuscule. Okay. Just to again give you a comparison, India used to fire 4 lakhs rounds per year for training alone. 10 times more only for training. Okay, forget about preparation and all that. This is poor chaps. I got 12,000 last time, 40,000 this time. This is the bare minimum. Now again, let's look at the tanks business. They got gone in for some 20,000, 2,000 rounds of tank ammunition. For the number of tanks they have, this amounts to actually this amounts to 6 to 7 rounds per tank, and each tank can carry about 40 odd rounds. So it's actually very minuscule, right? And it is basically more for self-esteem and all. After all, you can't have a tank without ammunition, and they would like to have some ammunition to feel safe, if nothing, right? So it's not much. So don't worry about it. Uh, but like what I said in the beginning, I'm more interested in the Pakistan army capability. 40,000 rounds are to be given in from September to December, 3 months, which tells me that look, these chaps are got a capability of making about 10 to 13,000 rounds per month for Bangladesh. Now, if someone has to track, I mean, which I am not, it's an interesting question. I will track now. How much are they giving to Ukraine? After all, they're selling to Ukraine also. So, how much are they giving off to Ukraine? If you track that ammunition, then you know Pak army capability, which to me is a more interesting question, right? Because the real villain is there. The guy whom you have to sort out is there. Because Pakistan is the nub. And before we leave, like you rightly said in the beginning, you sort out Pakistan, many issues get sorted out, including China. Okay, and that should be our focus. In fact, just to give everyone a heads up, I won't say heads up, it's a tails up. Just half an hour back, I was speaking to Mr. Dr. 𝗤𝙗𝘗𝘖𝘅 Mirza, and the question I asked him is, will Pakistan disintegrate? To me, that is a bigger question at this point of time, considering the going ons there. Right? Maybe sometime down the line we could discuss about that. Because if Pakistan is handled, China gets handled, and if Pakistan is handled, Bangladesh gets handled. If Pakistan is handled, many other things get handled. Right? Bangladesh is a problem, it's a nuisance which we will handle eventually. That I'm very confident of. Yeah, now I think we could take any number of questions you want.
Yeah, let's take some questions now, please.
Yeah, I would request, take a few questions from Bangladesh also, so that you know the flavor of their questions.
Yeah. We don't discriminate. Anything that comes
Yeah.
in, we put it up.
Yeah.
𝗤𝙧𝙬𝘗𝘁 𝗲𝘓 wants to know, is there any possibility that Bangladesh will start war against India? Will Pakistan, China
I
back
told
them?
you, there's no question of this. This is out of question.
Maithili wants to know, Namaskaram Shankarji, has Mamata Banerjee the power to meddle with chicken neck?
No. Period. No.
Sometimes I wonder if both Bangladesh and Mamata are trying to somehow instigate or trying to get a rise out of the center to try and say that, so that they can start playing the victim card. I just wonder.
No, I'll not go into that question.
Jack, in and out of the box.
You have to remember that. You have to remember that I've been an army officer for 4 decades. Right? I still serve the government. So my respect for the government, it doesn't matter which party is in power, is paramount. And my respect for the Constitution of India and the chief ministers, which the people of that state have selected, is still there. We might have different opinions on the quality of the chief ministers. That's a different story. They might have different opinions from what 4 people other have. That's a different story. So those questions that I will even not entertain. That's not in my lexicon, right? So we'll keep it at that. Yeah, please.
Next one, please. Jack, in and out of the box. Are Bangladeshi top military brass also engaged in making money for themselves and holding it in foreign land like the Pakistan?
There's no evidence of
Pakistanis.
this.
Sir?
There's no evidence. There's no evidence of Bangladesh is doing what the Pakistan army does.
Next one, please. 𝗤𝙗𝘃 Kothari wants to know, one latent question remains. Why are we not viewing it as a religiously motivated war? Bangladesh army and BGP are showing true colors. Government is releasing terrorists every day. Need to step up.
I don't think we have gone to that level as of now. We shouldn't get carried away. There are still voices of reason within Bangladesh which are coming out. We might believe them, not believe them, but they're coming out. Even if they're dying embers in a coal pit, you need to fan them. But the moment you start looking at it as a religiously motivated war, then those will also be extinguished and the case is lost. Then you can keep dealing with a religious problem. Right? That's how it is.
Next question, please.
You can't hold the government, that government, you can criticize that government, but you can't say, why are they doing it? It's that government, it is not your government. Will you allow, look, let me put a different question. When the US government or the Chinese government or some other government talks about our government, how do you react? How do we react? We say, get lost, it's not your job. We'll know how to look at it from our internal viewpoint, we'll take care of ourselves. The same thing you granted to those people in Bangladesh. If you interfere too much, they'll say, get lost. Then what do you do? So let's have some balance in the way we think.
Next one, please. Thank you, Rakesh Joshi. Stop issuing new Aadhaar card, as almost all Indians receive the same underage, should receive linked to their parents. Stop legalizing illegal immigrants.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is something which is valid. But let me tell you how it is done. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at how it is done. There's a fully organized mafia doing this. And that mafia is in India, and it's not in Bangladesh. Right? And that mafia exists right up to Rajasthan, incidentally. It's not only in, if someone say, no, that mafia is in Bengal, it doesn't happen so. These Aadhaar cards are issued all over, including in Chennai. Okay? And these Aadhaar cards are not issued only for Bangladeshis, they're issued for Nepalese also. So you have a problem within ourselves. So I don't think we should, I think it's a good question also. We have to look within ourselves. And this cuts across party lines. It doesn't matter whether it's a BJP government or a DMK government or a TMC government or some other Congress government. All our government systems are involved in this racket. And there's a racket, I'm telling you. You want proof? I can substantiate it. So we have to look within ourselves in this matter.
NN wants to know, thinking aloud, sir, India should give up its neighborhood first policy, stop giving them funds, allocate some funds to defense forces for faster upgradation to fight multi-front war. Thoughts?
Look, you can't give up your neighborhood first policy. Okay. So you want to give up your neighborhood and fight in far lands. Right? Do you have a clue of what is involved in this multi-front upgradation to fight multi-front wars? That means you want to fight with your neighbors, you fight with the whole world. Are you that kind of a power? You just look at China, what's happening to China. Till 4 years back, China was very nice with its neighbors. It had all great things going. Look at what's happening to China. Look at it. It's now picked up a fight with South Korea. It's picked up a fight with Japan. It's picked up a fight with Taiwan. It's picked up a fight with Philippines. It's picked up a fight with Vietnam. Just yesterday, Vietnam and Philippines signed up a defense treaty. Right? China is fighting, war. It's some kind of a lesser than war situation with Taiwan 800 kilometers away from its shores, and it's not succeeding. You want that? Do you know what kind of a question you asked? Does India have that money? If that you are living in a country which has got the fastest GDP, but still not able to spend on defense. Why? Many of you have to go to a village in the remote parts of this country and live with them. And then you'll understand why India is doing what it does done. Before you say, no, do you know? I have seen villages at grassroots level in the northeast part of our country, in the northern part of our country, and in the poorest parts of our country, where people don't have money to eat one square meal. You have to look at India differently. Don't think you are a great power by just because of the fact you have a good army and you need to pump money into it. There is a huge India which is under the water level, which you have to take care of. And you need help. You need external help for that. Believe you me. We have our own problems where we can't come see to eye. We have our own internal fissures. Unless we paper them over, cement them over, we can't move ahead. And for that, you need neighborhood first. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Next one, please. Srikant Iyer wants to know, General Sir, what do you think should be our response to the visa protest? Should India not openly deny visas and attract their ill will?
Visa protests where? I mean, I'm not.
Now, in Bangladesh, what is happening is that many are being turned away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a issue which will resolve itself, right? And I don't want to talk about what the thing in Bangladesh is about visas not giving. We obviously can't give everyone a visa.
Sachin, can you wait for a second? I want to ask this question first. Sir, let's take a look at this Bangladeshi document.
Yeah.
𝗤𝙬𝙤𝙬 says, I'm a Bangladeshi Hindu, a doctor by profession. My chamber and house were burnt on the 6th August. News does not publish anywhere. This is censor, simultaneously protesting against India. So you said you asked one question, right? You asked one question. Why aren't the Hindus protesting? I will also tell you, sir, yeah, there's one more. There's a guy who's playing cricket for the team, Bangladesh team, Liton Das. His house was burnt too.
I agree with you. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that houses are not burnt. I empathize with them. My sympathies go out to them. In an upheaval of the kind which has happened in Bangladesh, there will be these people, I would put it, I mean, these are the unfortunates of that situation. And there may be more. The point is, what should our response be to prevent it from happening more? That's the point. Right? And this is their country. It's not, they're citizens of that country. If that country disowns them, right, then we'll see what to do. Has their country disowned them? Do you have a policy that you can take all of them? It's two ways. I agree. I mean, I empathize with him that his this poor man, his house has been burnt. That to a doctor. And I think the people around him are stupid guys. But would he like to shift out? He's silent on that. See, implicit in this, he's not saying that I want to shift out and someone is denying me visa. Have we tried also? We don't know.
Sir, these things are instigated by a few individuals. There has to be an underground way of conveying that.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. There should be an underground way of finding those people and taking care of these people, because that's how this will stop. This is not the armed Bangladeshi who is doing this. This is some people who are motivated to do this. They've been given money, they've been given material to do this. And those people have to be taken care of. I don't know what is the thought process there. All I know is India, sir, one second. All I know is India really considerably weakened its assets of raw in 1971 after the liberation, which they should have not done. This is a raw person writing in his book. So I don't know if that situation has been changed now. You can't obviously say yes or no to that question. Clearly, sir, people say that India knew for 6 months that this is coming. I don't buy that. Over to you, sir.
Look, these are all, these are all, what shall I say, straws in the wind. You can't catch them. Right? You should take care of. How do you take care of people who are creating trouble in a society? You can't take care of people who are creating trouble in your society. You are asking us to go and take care of people in other society. It can't happen. These are all things which can't happen. Right? We have our own issues. How do you go and sort out there? And I also refuse to even consider the fact that our intelligence agencies didn't know what was happening. We knew what was happening. Didn't we know when the Hey India Out campaign started? Didn't we know when things were going? Actually, look, if you very coldly look at it, 21st July, it's a headline from a Bangladeshi newspaper where the student leader has said, I withdraw protests. I withdraw everything. After the Supreme Court of Bangladesh said that we will not have reservations, or we'll postpone the final thing to another day. And even Sheikh Hasina concurred, and she expressed had some kind of consensus thing. 21st July. By 5th August, 15 days, everything changed. How? You see, you plot the timelines: actions by India, actions by China, actions by Pakistan, actions by America, and actions within Bangladesh. You'll see a picture emerging. It's
What
not
did India do,
as
sir,
if we
in those 15 days?
have a look at what statements have come out from some of our leaders. Have a look at some of the statements, and they have nothing to do with Bangladesh, incidentally.
Sir, you actually proved my point. You proved my point. Sir, one other thing is the distressing similarity between what happened in Manipur and what happened in Bangladesh. A High Court judgment.
Sorry, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with you at all. Because
okay, we'll do this compare contrast another day.
No. There's comparison between what's happened in Manipur and what's happened in Bangladesh, to completely different issues. There's no comparison. There is no common ground for whatever has happened. Yeah.
Next question, please. Rahul wants to know, like Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh also have chaos. Should India need to have broader game plan for neighbors in future, irrespective of who is in power, instead of damage control?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. We need to do that. We need to have a broader thing. And look, this is a wave which has happened. If you see, our relations with neighbors has always been episodal or episodic, right? At times we've had very good equations with Maldives. At times we've not had so good equations with Maldives. We've had good equations with Sri Lanka, sometimes not. And the same thing with Bangladesh. You also have to understand you're contending with a malevolent power like China and Pakistan. They have their footprint. They have their capabilities. And you don't have certain capabilities which they have. Right? If you had such capabilities which they had, then you won't be India, you would be them. So let's be balanced about what we are before we denigrate ourselves to that. Okay, let's look at Maldives. 3-4 months back, Maldives was in a mess. Everyone spoke ill of Maldives. But today, aren't things turning around? Okay. Similarly, look at Sri Lanka. 2 years back, Sri Lanka was in shambles. You had an opportunity and you turned things around. In fact, 6th, I'm having a talk with Ambassador 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙀 on Sri Lanka. And what am I talking of now? We're talking of elections. We're going to talk of the scenario in Sri Lanka and as far as elections are concerned, the various parties and how they're doing, and it includes some left parties, some right parties, the old parties who are now no more in favor. There's a change. 2 years down the line, a lot of changes happened. So we've actually, the way we are handling things in Sri Lanka, a lot of things have changed. I mean, for those of you who don't know, just 4 days back, 3 warships entered the Colombo port and so did an Indian warship. And those 3 warships were Chinese warships. And an Indian port follows them in there. Things are changed. Don't think that, India doesn't know what's happening. So you will have episodic bouts of chaos and bonhomie. Right now, Bangladesh is going through a chaos. I'm sure there's a game plan on how to arrest it. Okay, the stakes are very high in Bangladesh. If you see the stakes, the Chinese are all out to put their stamp on. For them, it's a golden opportunity, right? To put their stake in, to dig their stake deeper in Bangladesh. Okay. For Pakistan, it's a great opportunity. They've used it tremendously to redeem themselves, both with the Chinese and the Americans. The Americans have been hoodwinked into this whole story. Sometime later, maybe we'll do a thing how they've been hoodwinked. And my suspicion, my surety is that a lot of this talk has gone on between Prime Minister and President Biden. Well, look, you chaps did this. You see where it is. Is it in US control anymore? No, they put a geriatric out there, and I don't think he's in control also. The way things are moving is there are issues, there are layers which we have not touched upon. Okay, today we focused on one part of the story. Okay, what do? We need to have a game plan. That I agree with you. What kind of a game plan? The game plan has to be all encompassing. Do we have one? We don't have one. It's coming out in bits and pieces because, like I said, we need to have internal cohesion. So that is how I view the whole story. Yeah.
𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙀𝘖 wants to know, my question is, why Bangladeshi trying to get Pakistani arms? Why not China or India? What the message behind it?
Look, they've gone where it is cheapest probably. They'll never touch from India. Let's be very clear. Okay. They won't take from China because if they take from China, they will get into problems with us straight away. That is showing a red flag to us. USA won't give them. So they'll go to Pakistan. The least of the offensive actions is to Pakistan. Get their will from somewhere. Who will give it to them? Look at it from the Bangladeshi point of view. In any case, what is the whole story? Like I told you, it's 2 days worth of ammunition.
Next one, please.
Yeah.
𝗤𝙧𝙤𝘆 wants to know, sir, if we don't have stealth jet for the next decade, why don't we go for 200 Rafale and next generation radar tech? Hey, listen, this is out of the syllabus on this one. Let's do it sometime when we have this topic. 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝘆 𝗤𝙬𝙗, already 1 hour over, sir. Sorry to take so long.
No, that's okay. Carry on.
𝗤𝙧𝙤𝘆 𝗤𝙬𝙗 wants to know, General, only one question to you. Looking at the current situation in Bangladesh and Pakistan, how prepared are our armed forces and our own deep state to teach a lesson to both jihadi stepbrothers?
We are okay. The day when we have to do it, we'll do it. There's no problem. I mean, as simple as that.
Next one, Nenan wants to know, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Maldives will ruin their country and then rely on India to bail them. How long will this continue?
This will continue for a long time. Look, again, there's a theory called the shatter belt theory. Shattering, shatter belt. There's a new theory which I studied with one of my gurus. We've been discussing. He's written an article about it. Because the countries around us are in the shatter belt. They shatter very fast. Right? And there are certain conditions which are coming, and there are geopolitical conditions, ethnic conditions, economic conditions, the governmental conditions, religious conditions, all that. And we're going to discuss about this one of these days next week. So join us. He's Brigadier Arun Sehgal. We're going to talk. It's going to be about shatter belts. All of you who are looking at it, join up. And I'll give the link through PGurus also so that,
yes, sir. Thank you.
PGurus. Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Well, that brings us to a close of what I would say is a very insightful session. And I deliberately probably played up some sentiments here because
that's okay.
people also need to understand that India needs to do something and do it in a way that is not obvious or apparent to the other sides. See, they have started this. India will finish this. How it's going to finish this is the question, and I think this is going to be very decisive, because if India can fix Bangladesh, if India can sort out Bangladesh, then all this noise around the neighbors is also going to stop. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. We opened up a few things that perhaps are under the surface, but everybody had these questions. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you, and thanks a lot.